What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Democratic VP nominee Tim Walz reportedly traveled to China around 30 times. Fox News' Brooke Singman reports the latest. The former State Department spokesperson also joined Fox and Friends to discuss her reaction to federal employees' warning on Tim Walz and how much it will cost American households on Biden's global failures. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. Share, subscribe. We're going to jump into this video that was sent to me. And DHS employees issue chilling warning on Tim Walz's alleged ties to China. This just came out today, actually, depending on when you're watching this. Let's jump in.
Listen to this. A Department of Homeland Security official is warning colleagues that Governor Tim Walz's vice presidential nomination feeds into China's efforts to influence Washington, D.C.
This is really concerning. Brooke Singman was the first to report on this story. She is here with the details. Brooke.
Good morning, you guys. Yeah, so House Republicans are intensifying their efforts to investigate the Democrat vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's alleged ties to China. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer releasing a portion of DHS internal communications it received from a whistleblower discussing China's alleged activities with Walz. The message was sent by a DHS employee to colleagues on Microsoft Teams saying, quote, Walz got the VP. You have no idea how this feeds into what the PRC, or the People's Republic of China, has been doing here with him and local government. It's seriously a line of the intel targets someone who is perceived they can get to D.C. Now, Comer, in a letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, says, quote, the committee's releasing the above message as an example of the communications within DHS's possession in which DHS officials express concern about the CCP targeting politicians and their influence operations at the state and local levels. Comer says specifically their concerns about China's influence operations as they relate to Governor Walz. Now, last month, Comer subpoenaed Mayorkas for records relating to those alleged connections after the whistleblower notified him of those messages. Comer is now accusing the Department of Homeland Security of stonewalling the subpoena. He says, quote, DHS did not produce responsive documents before the subpoena's due date and subsequently neglected to produce a single responsive document. The House Oversight and Accountability Committee says Walz has traveled to China an estimated 30 times. And in the 1990s, Walz organized a trip to China for his high school students, a trip which was reportedly paid for by the Chinese government. Guys.
All right, Brooke Singman live for us. Brooke, thank you so much. Let's bring in former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, good morning to you. So Brooke just laid it out. Apparently, around the time that Kamala Harris selected Tim Walz to be her running mate, a group of DHS officials were talking online, and one of them said, "We've got the VP. You all have no idea how this feeds into the PRC, into what the PRC has been doing here with him and local government." So why do you think this DHS official would feel that way?
Well, I started worrying about this as soon as we found out that the vice president was considering, Kamala Harris was considering the Governor Walz, as her nominee for VP. And I warned about it because I thought it was very dangerous and follows a pattern of what the Chinese Communist Party likes to do to local, to state, and to governors, to mayors. In fact, Secretary Mike Pompeo warned about this to a bipartisan speech of Republican and Democrat governors in February of 22. And he warned that this is what the Chinese government tries to do. The Communist Party tries to use soft power means to cultivate people over time, to get them, I mean, quite frankly, it's relationship building for them in a way, right? By having so many trips, especially paid trips, they're trying to whitewash things that the Chinese Communist Party is doing. Things like stealing our intellectual property, like unleashing COVID on the world, like sending the chemical precursors of fentanyl to this country that is the #1 killer of young people. And of course, we can't forget the ongoing genocide in China, in Xinjiang. And so the Chinese Communist Party tries to offer investments, money to state and local officials to soften them up so that you don't criticize them for the harsh actions of their government.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because Tim Walz, of course, out on the campaign trail, and he's the one he's saying that Donald Trump is the one who has friendly relations with China. Listen to this.
Wow.
Instead of doing what Donald Trump is, cozying up to these dictators, cozying up to China, we'll never let other countries like China undermine these investments with unfair trade deals. Look, that's a plan, not a concept of a plan, and I'm damn proud of it.
And that comment, Morgan, particularly notable because Donald Trump is the one that's proposing a 60% tariff on all Chinese imports, which is something that Kamala Harris criticized in her speech last night. But overall, what do you think about that coming from Tim Walz?
Well, we have had 0 trade deals from the Biden-Harris administration, 0 efforts to hold China accountable. So, when you look at the Trump administration, for all the talk about trade, we negotiated a trade deal with China. We renegotiated NAFTA and turned it into USMCA, renegotiated trade deals with Japan, with Korea. Guess how much the Biden-Harris administration has to show for? 0. Yeah. They put 0 trade deals before the Senate. And in fact, it's Governor Tim Walz who accepts free trips to China. So spare me the criticism from somebody who takes free goodies from China versus President Trump, who has a record of being tough on China with trade and actually negotiating with the Chinese Communist Party. The only thing that the Biden-Harris administration has done is allowed fentanyl precursors from China to flow into this country to kill young people, and they've basically done nothing about it.
Okay, so obviously coming up on a presidential election in T-minus 6 days now. So it's time to look back at the past 4 years, which is something that your organization did, and discover the fiscal impact of the Biden administration's national security failures. And you say that it cost taxpayers $381 billion, which amounts to about $3,000 per household in taxpayer dollars. How do you explain that?
This is the most conservative estimate possible that we could do. I think it's probably likely more. But what we tried to do was to look at the cost of deterrence failures. So what that means is, what does it cost America whenever we fail to prevent the Taliban, for example, from taking over Kabul? When we fail to prevent Putin from invading Ukraine? When we fail things like Hamas attacking Israel and killing Americans and holding Americans hostage on October 7th? There's an actual cost to every single American household. Again, this is the most conservative estimate possible, but that's $3,000 worth of milk, worth of eggs, worth of bacon that American households could have used at a time of the highest inflation in 40 years at the grocery store. But instead, they're using it to cover Biden and Harris's deterrence failures around the world. So you could go to polaris-us.org and see that full report.
And I encourage everybody to do that. And you say that you have to learn from these crises to prevent an imminent deterrence crisis in Taiwan, which is very important when we're looking forward over the next 4 years. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Tampon Teezy's past is coming full ahead here. This comes shortly. That release of the whistleblower came after this article from the Daily Mail. Tim Walz's ex-lover participated in 2-day communist-led propaganda march just before their messy affair. Tim Walz's Chinese lover went to a 2-day communist-led propaganda march aimed at Taiwanese Square massacre, and shortly before she started her fling with the vice president hopeful. Her name is Jenny Wang, whose father was a high-ranking local communist leader, felt she would go on and she would be dubbed the Little Long March. There is, let's see. Oh, there's Jenny. So this came out after this article popped out. The two had kept their relationship from her father, Bin Hao, Bin who? Bin how? Out of fear he would disown her. She said she believed Walz planned to marry her, so he must have been whispering sweet nothings in her ear, like, "Baby, I'm gonna marry you." Wang insisted she was never member of the Communist Party herself, but the Daily Mail can reveal she joined the young party members in the flag waving Vulgars in the late summer of 1989 for uh, a patriotic parade in the mountain region of Longsheng, where she grew up. Very interesting. So Tampon Teasy had an affair, not an affair, but he had a fling thing with Jenny Wang, whose father was the head of the foreign communist party. And now DHS whistleblowers are coming out and saying this particular candidate pick, we already know, is not going to be beneficial for the United States of America. Interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think. I didn't think he was a good choice to begin with. Kamala Harris has openly stated that she was sleep deprived when she picked Tampon Tim as her running mate. I don't think you make decisions when you're sleep deprived, hungry, or menstrual cycling, or whatever the situation is, because then you make emotional decisions, not logical decisions. Let me know what you think about this. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button, share, subscribe. And as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.